Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Josh and Artemis show. Just realized the mic was there. Tonight, we are going to discuss the findings of James Esses. He basically went undercover to a teacher's webinar, and we're going to discuss what was uncovered there.
Yep, very disturbing. Yep, interesting, disturbing. And yeah, we'll get into all that. And it kind of highlights a lot of the stuff we talk about on this show. And it's also quite alarming for parents as well. And, you know, we've got young girls here, so it was pretty disturbing for us to read. So yeah, we'll get into all that. Before we do, if you're new to the channel, give us a like, give us a sub, and share out the show. It does help us a lot.
For sure. And make sure to follow us on X. If you do want to support us that a little bit further, you can become a YouTube or Patreon member. Links in the description. And of course, the bio of our homepage on X and the YouTube. Thank you to our current YouTube and Patreon members. Your support does mean a lot to us. We go live at 8 o'clock Eastern every single day. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Yeah. So let's share our screen. So this was coming in from the Daily Mail, but James himself actually did write a blog about this, which we'll link in at the end of the show as well for you guys to read. It is on his X page as well. So if you don't follow James, make sure you do. He does post some really good stuff, and he's doing some really good work. I was actually I didn't know much about him, so I did a quick bit of research on him today, and he was actually fired from well, not fired. He was expelled from university for his views on gender, effectively,
which is ridiculous, as we all know.
Which is insane. And again, it ties into all of this stuff about censorship with this topic. And you know, you're not allowed to question it. You're not allowed to raise concerns. Otherwise, you're effectively expelled from your course. In James' case, so pretty shocking and pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into this article. So let's enlarge our screen a little bit. So, teachers' webinar. This is a quote, felt more like a cult meeting. Undercover therapist reveals trans lobby urged activist teachers to ignore government guidance on gender questioning children in English schools. So straight away,
absolutely,
a very disturbing headline. So a trans pressure group allegedly urged activist teachers to ignore the government's advice on gender questioning children during a webinar that felt like a cult meeting. The government's long-awaited guidance on trans issues in schools was published last month. During a webinar hosted by the Trans and Non-Binary Education Network and LGBT plus charity schools out, teachers were told to ignore the government's guidelines.
What a mouthful.
It was a mouthful, yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
Co-founder of Thoughtful Therapist, James Esses, went undercover to the session and was shocked by what he heard. When one teacher asked how they should treat concerned parents, they were told parents can and often will complain about basically anything. So again, straight away, it ties into this conversation, which we always have, about how parents are pretty much not seen as like a relevant part of a child's life with these people. I mean, what's like your thoughts on this as a mother?
Well, I'm deeply disturbed, of course. And it's like parents should be left in the dark. Meanwhile, it's total opposite. It's like parents should be the most aware of what's going on with their children. And, you know, we do put a lot of trust in the school systems to educate our children properly, but not educate on something that's just a cult ideology, which is gender. You know, we're all based on sex, not gender. But we entrust teachers to teach our kids about, you know, history, science, math, geography, art, like music, things like this, like that, you know, we were brought up in school with, and not, you know, oh, boys can have penises and girls can have, I mean, of course they can. Yeah. I mean, I said that right. I actually said that right. Boys can have vaginas and girls can have penises. It's like, oh, hold on a minute. No, they can't. And stop confusing children, because then they look at their own private parts and think, I thought I had a vagina. Like, yeah, you do, because you're a girl, or vice versa. It's like,
this is how insane it all is.
Yeah. Like you can't even think straight, because it's like you have to be like high or something to understand this stuff. It's like, it's not it's not facts. It's delusional. Like, like it's a kind of different topic yesterday, but we basically said we need to bring these people out of the clouds and back to reality, and basically wake these people up who think that, a girl can have a penis. Like, in what world? Because I'm sorry, but only men can have penises. Like, let's start basically reiterating a fact here. Absolutely. And get out of like delusion world. Like, I don't understand it, and I never will.
I know. And you know what? We always talk about this on the show, and we always think, you know what, things are going to get better. And every single day there seems to be a new story which highlights how worse this is. By like the going weeks and months, it seems to be getting worse. So let's get back into this again then.
Yeah.
Okay, scroll down a bit. So that's a picture of James there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, great job going undercover and exposing this. This is the kind of work we need doing for people to do this more and more. And we did the review of Dr. Heim and Christopher Rufo a few days ago, and it kind of ties into this. That clearly there's guidelines, there's things which you aren't allowed to do, but these people just completely ignore all of this to further push this ideology onto children, which is very concerning to me, because clearly there's rules in place, but they're frequently ignored.
Yeah.
Let's go down. So former primary school head teacher Gray, who used they them pronouns,
already right there is a red flag. Head teacher
said the guidance was transphobic, encouraged abuse, and puts children at risk of harm. Gray, who now teaches at a specialist school, took issue with the use of the phrase biological sex in the guidance.
So had an issue with science.
Had an issue with actual facts, yeah. The teacher said schools should not be doing anything as a result of this guidance. So clearly just flouting the rules here. Ex-maths teacher Katie, who was studying for a PhD in education, told the group that the term trans included gender non-conforming children. It's honestly insane. Katie, who went by they, them pronouns as well, claimed the government created the draft guidance to erase the identities of trans children. I mean, this is the common comeback from like a lot of trans activists, I guess, is, we're trying to erase trans people. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It's literally just having a scientific baseline, which everybody has used for thousands of years. Yeah. Everybody has either XX chromosomes, which means you're a female, or XY chromosomes, which means you're a male. And that's it. Yeah. And we should be living by those defined rules in my opinion. And we shouldn't be pushing this ideology onto children who have no idea about any of this stuff. And it's just clear manipulation. It's clear as day. And it's causing so much damage.
Yeah, when they say that it puts children at risk, it's like, well, they only know about this stuff because they're learning it from somewhere. And they're being taught basically that they're in the wrong body and there is something wrong with them. And in order to be better, they need to get surgeries and puberty blockers, which sterilizes them and mutilates them. Like, no, thank you. That's what's harming the children. Let kids be kids and play with whatever they want and do whatever sports they want. Like, how many times do we have to say it? And also, like, these pronouns are starting to really bother me because, like, it's ruining the English language. Like, when they go by they, them, it's like, that's plural. Like, that, like, it's just, it's so, you have to, like, your brain hurts when you're trying to do it, like, because it doesn't make sense. Like, when you're using it in a proper sentence, when you've learned English in class, it's like, it just doesn't make sense. And, like, just be okay with who you are. Like, if you were born a female, be okay with that and realize that there's no wrong way to be a female. Like, you can be whatever you want to be. You can have whatever kind of job. You can dress however you like. Like, it's just, just be accepting of who you are. Like, that's the message that you should be sending to everybody, but especially children. And yeah, of course, when you're an adult, like, it is your body and you can do what you want, but stop grooming children and stop sexualizing children, because that is what's happening. And most people who have at least some common sense are not okay with it. Like, it's disturbing. And we're basically just fucking up the next generation. Like, there's no other way to put it.
Absolutely. And the current one.
And the current one, yeah. But I mean, these kids 10 years from now, like, it's going to be a mess. Like, it really will be. And they're like, the population's going to go down because everybody's been sterilized. So what then? I don't know. I know it's not the majority of the population of the world, but it's still pretty damning, you know?
For sure. Really is. Right, let's get back to this. Okay, Katie. Okay, secondary school teacher Matthew, who also used they, them pronouns, of course, said that even when the government publishes the final guidance, there would be a lot of reasons not to follow it. They added, it was unclear whether it is binding. Teachers attending the session who were looking for further resources were directed to Stonewall and Mermaids, two charities mired in controversy.
Mermaids.
I know, just the names, you know.
No pride for some without liberation for all.
Rot in hell rolling.
Oh my God.
Just for saying,
boycott Harry Potter.
Just
Jesus Christ.
Literally just for stating a fact at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. Right, scroll down.
Yeah, well, women, real women, appreciate J.K. Rowling. But anyway.
Supporting transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse young people, families, and professionals involved in their care. What? I know, honestly.
Stop ruining like children's things, like mermaids now. I'm gonna have to think of this when I play mermaids with my kids.
Mermaids faced backlash after promoting potentially dangerous chest binding.
Is that this
which
thing?
Can flatten and constrict the breasts for children. Yeah, those things.
Please. Good God.
It's nuts.
Do you know what this reminds me of? I don't know if you've ever watched this movie, actually, but
probably not. Probably not.
There's a movie called, I want to say it was called Now and Then, and it had Christina Ricci.
No.
Ricci?
Never seen it.
Is that how you say it?
Never seen
it. Ricci? Why am I questioning that?
Ricci.
Yeah, Ricci. Okay. Anyway, and Devon Sawa. But anyway, she started puberty, I think, and she started feeling awkward in her body, so she was taping her boobs. But then she had a crush on Devon Sawa, and when they kissed, and after they kissed, and she felt more comfortable with herself, she stopped taping her boobs. And this is like the modern day version of that. And it's like all of a sudden you become comfortable in your body because you're getting used to it.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It's the modern day goth movement is what it is. Because I can remember when I was growing up, everyone who was like, didn't feel comfortable or they didn't feel like they belonged in one group, they often turn into a goth.
Yeah.
But now it's like the trans movement is kind of taken over the goth kind of movement. Yeah. Like I don't really see many goths around at the minute. Do you?
I don't hang around teenagers.
I don't either.
But I mean, I don't. But I don't really. You're right in the sense that like.
But when like we go to the shops, when we walk around the mall or anything,
no,
or we
I just
go
see
downtown,
plastics.
we don't see any goths.
No, I just see plastic girls who are already getting lip fillers and they're like not old enough to need any kind of alterations.
Anyway, let's get back to the article because we're getting sidetracked here.
Well, yes and no.
Okay, scroll down.
Stonewall, yeah.
So mermaids faced backlash after promoting potentially dangerous chest binding for children saw itself investigated by the Charity Commission and suffered a humiliating court defeat after trying to have the LGBT Alliance struck off as a charity. That's the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual Alliance. I mean, they were this and this is the thing. What like we keep saying, it's very anti-gay. This whole movement.
And they hijacked the pride flag and made it into like this ridiculous thing.
And
Is there a
as
picture of it
someone who
now?
has gay people in
I
their
don't have any picture of
family,
that.
you know, it concerns me, this sort of stuff. It really does.
Just ridiculous.
Stonewall, meanwhile, has weathered years of controversy. Just last year, a special male investigation discovered how much of the UK is still in the charity's woke stranglehold. Mr. Esses told Mail Online, people are colluding to ignore government guidance. Those people are anti-reality.
Yeah.
Correct. I think parents have to take a proactive role in this. They should be asking the school whether they will be following the government guidance. They should be asking what material they will be using. That's the only way parents can police what their children are being exposed to.
Yeah.
These teachers are going to collude with vulnerable children behind their parents' backs. It's an absolute abdication of safeguarding. The whole thing is crazy. This is just one of many of these groups out there. He added, what was meant to be a network of educational professionals began to sound more like a cult meeting. I mean, we've often said this, and like a lot of people have said this, it's literally like a cult, this whole group for me.
It is.
Because you're indoctrinating people at a young age to make them feel like they don't belong. And you have, you know, people like these schools, like these hospitals, which we revealed through Dr. Heim, the whistleblower, that they will actively go behind a parent's back to encourage this in children.
Yeah.
And it's really creepy and just complete grooming at the end of the day.
Well,
and all based on something which is not even scientific fact. It's literally just an ideology. It's like a religion. This whole thing is like a religion. And you know, we watched Douglas Murray today, which we often do. He talks a lot of sense, and he made the point that as a society we're talking about issues which we know for a fact are fact and have done for hundreds of years, thousands of years. Why are we going at this? You know, he made the point that we're going at this slow pace in society, trying to move things forward. It's like we're going backwards as a society now. You know, we're going over issues which we already know about.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
feels like it's a big fat waste of time even talking about this stuff to me, because you know, this stuff shouldn't even be a debate.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't even be debating this, but for some reason we are, as a culture, as a society.
Yeah, and it's incredibly toxic, especially for children, because it is cult behavior. And like the way they're saying, like, you know, parents, like they're basically encouraging kids to alienate themselves from their parents or their family, and keep this a secret. And that's what cults do, as we've talked about cults before. You know, it's like to alienate them and then to start grooming them. So that's what's happening with these children.
It's playing out in this report,
and it turns them into cash cows for the rest of their lives that can't reproduce, that don't recognize their own bodies, and then don't know what to do with themselves. So it's like I don't know, an epidemic of this.
It really is. Okay, let's get back to it. So, okay, yeah. So I dread to think how many teachers were present in this webinar. How many of these events are being run up and down the country every single day? Lord only knows. Increasingly, it feels as if the education profession has been taken over by radicals hell-bent on pushing their dangerous and divisive ideology. Perhaps government guidance is not sufficient in this space if activist teachers will simply ignore it. It's a good point. I mean, like he's shown, and like we've shown the show a few times, these people just completely disregard the rules. They just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Maybe legislation with serious ramifications for breaches is what is required. Agree.
100%.
Either way, the government must crack down on this ideology and its infiltration into our schools before it's too late. Agree. Lucy Marsh from the Family Education Trust told Mail Online, it is extremely concerning that teaching professionals are using education networks to advise other teachers to ignore the government's draft guidance on gender questioning children. Also, it's particularly alarming to hear that activist teachers are labeling children who don't conform with stereotypical behavior for boys and girls as trans.
I know.
And this is the thing. I mean, we talked about this last night. We were going to bring it up today, but maybe a different show. But in Melbourne, they're doing this, what we're talking about today, to 3-year-old kids.
Mm-hmm.
How does a 3-year-old kid understand any of this?
They don't.
They don't, which clearly shows they're manipulating young kids.
Yeah.
It's clear as day, because a 3-year-old doesn't know anything about this stuff, but yet you're pushing it onto a 3-year-old.
Yeah, where they're nowhere near puberty.
And we were just talking about this today as well, that, one of the girls here, when she was about 2 or 3, she was playing with dump trucks and all this
trains.
Sort of trains.
Like anything with the boys, yeah. Like she didn't even think twice about it.
And what is she playing with now?
Pretty much the same stuff. I mean, she plays with like everything though. Like she likes Barbies and she likes to dress up, but then, she also really likes to use her imagination. Yeah. She loves to play football, which is like soccer here. She just loves sports in general. Like I always see her playing sports when I'm picking her up from after school care. She's into everything.
But like the point is, if she was a 3-year-old kid and she was living in Melbourne, Australia,
yeah, they would try and transition her.
They would try and transition her into being a boy.
Yeah, which is wild.
Based on the fact that she's playing with trucks.
I know.
It's so insane. Like it really
ridiculous.
is. It's honestly insane. And why more parents aren't concerned about this, I don't know.
Have a clue.
Or maybe they are. They're just too scared to speak up about it.
Let kids play with whatever the hell they want.
But I'm not scared in the slightest to talk about this, because it needs to be talked about. It shouldn't be controversial to be concerned about children, and it shouldn't be controversial to be concerned about your own kids at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. We should be allowed to talk about these things.
Yeah, we'll always protect the girls.
Okay. Let's have a look. This is incredibly regressive and harmful to children who are experimenting with clothing or hairstyles. Agree?
Yeah.
This is normal behavior for children as they grow up and develop their personality. Exactly. It's clear that unless the government makes the guidance legally binding and bans the teaching of gender ideology in schools, no child will be safe from activist teachers and groups who want to indoctrinate children.
Yeah.
Correct. A Department for Education spokesman said, we expect schools and colleges to follow our final published guidance to make sure that they are acting in the best interests of the pupils. Our draft guidance reflects the law which schools have a duty to follow. It takes a parent-first approach and prioritizes safety and well-being, whilst recognizing that treating children as though they are of the opposite sex can have significant psychological effects on a child.
Yeah, but I just hate how they keep using guidance. It needs to be like stricter than that.
Well, that's what the guy's saying here, James
Esses. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Yeah. It needs to be like, I don't even know, a law.
Because if it's not an official law, like we know with this, what we're talking about today, people will go around it. People will ignore it. Yeah,
and I think that any teacher who goes against this should have their license just taken away.
I mean,
like not allowed to teach kids at all.
For sure. And I'd be very interested if James managed to get some sort of a video of this.
He did. I saw a comment he made on a post. He said, and I have a video, or I have a recording. I don't know if it said video or not now.
I'm guessing he needs to do some editing on it, because you won't be able to release certain names and things, I guess.
No.
Because I did have a quick look today to see if there was anything on it, but I couldn't find anything.
By the way, I have a recording.
Okay. So he does have
one. He has a recording, so I guess we'll have to stay tuned.
I guess we'll wait and see if anything comes out about it, because I would be interested to see the recording for sure.
Yeah, and he actually removed his paywall, folks, from his website, from all of his articles, as he wants to share examples of ideological capture in society with as many people as possible. But you can still support him and subscribe for a price. But he's removed paywalls so everybody can kind of have a read. So we will definitely link his website for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, support him if you can, because, you know, he's obviously doing really great work, very important work. I mean, protecting our children and basically ousting these unethical practices in the education system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is going on in England that we're referring to right now. However, as we know, this is happening everywhere in the West.
Yeah.
In Australia, America, Canada, UK. Like, this is like a virus cult that's just taking over, and we need to fight back and bring everybody back to reality. So
absolutely,
for sure, supporting everybody who is speaking on this is important. And yeah, speak up for yourself too on social media. Everybody has a voice, and especially for the children of this generation, like, I think everybody needs to just be brave enough to say something, because it's wrong.
For sure. Well, yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks very much. A quicker show.
What about these?
No, that's we've already been through those now.
Okay.
Unlike your phone. So yeah, a shorter show tonight because we are tired today. Like, I've hardly had any sleep the last few days for various reasons. So yeah, I'm knackered. Artemis is knackered.
Always
knackered. The kids around.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. We will be back same time tomorrow as usual. Just before we go, if you're brand new to the channel and you like the conversations we have here, give us a sub, give us a like, and share the show.
For sure. And if you do want to support the show and you like what we're doing, you can become a YouTube or Patreon member. Links are in the description of this video, and of course on the bio of our homepage on X and YouTube. Make sure to give us a follow on X and subscribe on YouTube. It does really help support the show as well. And thank you to our YouTube and Patreon members. As Josh said, we go live every day, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys.
Tomorrow's Friday. Woo! Anyway. It's Friday. I don't know.
It is Friday.
Woo. Anyway, good night, guys.
Take it easy.